Okay, let's revisit this JJ cut business. Yeah, I mean, I understand that quite a bit of it comes across as over the top and ridiculous, and so, but you gotta remember why things like this are readily accepted, because look what's happened so far. I mean, from the very beginning up till now, it's just one absurd scenario plays out again and again, and it's just like, what the hell's going on with you guys? This is a follow up to the story about that JJ had this other cut, and then Disney went in and re-edited it, and he didn't even know this. That I'm not entirely certain that he didn't know it. He may not have been happy about it, but the idea that he was just floored by this on premiere night. I'm not so certain about that. But anyway, so there the title is, oh, Rob Liefeld. Well, yeah, he's one of many who talked about this, and he's the comic book artist who, one of the big founders of Image Comics and all that. He says, speaking to the JJ cut, he is JJ is very powerful and the richest producing deal in the entertainment business at WB. He was never without leverage. The idea that he's a victim is absurd. So the idea that you could pull this on him is a bit ridiculous to some extent, not entirely. I think it's fair to say that even The Force Awakens was not his film. Bob Iger's book pretty much confirms this, where he discusses he had certain rules about what that movie was going to look like and all of that. So that's why it ends up being just a copy of New Hope. Now, the problem for JJ is that he did a similar thing with Star Trek Into Darkness, where he just sort of did a backwards version of Wrath of Khan. And so he said, well, he just went back to the same template and did it for Star Wars, and so that's on him to a certain extent. But at the same time, if he had a new vision or a new idea about what to do, if it conflicted with that notion of it had to look like old Star Wars, then he was pretty much stuck. There was nothing he could do. And then, of course, you had Kennedy, the Force is female, and, whatever thing that she thought would take away from that, he had to redo it. So there are things and elements that are in The Force Awakens that you never see revisited when it comes to The Last Jedi. It's just completely tossed aside, the whole setup of the mysterious origins of Rey and all that. You're nothing. They were nothing. They sold you for drug money, And then Finn, there was all this stuff insinuating there was something particularly special about Finn. And it's just, no, he's just a clown. He's there to be made fun of by Rose Tico, and that's it. So the idea that JJ put in scenes in there is very likely that there might have been something to that about Finn being force sensitive and this sort of thing. But at this point, even if he did, it's a little late in the story to be dealing with that. But also the obvious setup for a romance between Finn and Rey. He's clearly cares about her. He's taken with her quite a bit, and it seems to be some amount of reciprocation on her part. And certainly, like one of the first things he asks her, you got a boyfriend? You got a boyfriend? That's the classic thing of a guy who's interested in a girl. And, gee, I hope she's single, and, that's what that is. As for that, he always intended for, Poe and, Finn to be a gay couple. I just don't see any evidence of that anywhere, in the Force Awakens, and, obviously nothing of that in Last Jedi. So, that's just online chatter and stuff. And so stuff like that, the idea that he shot scenes for A Rise of Skywalker that revealed that they had feelings for each other and this sort of thing. Well, unless there really is this that could leak accidentally online. It will never leak accidentally. But I don't really buy. So, and then the other thing about that, Disney would deliberately sabotage their own Star Wars film to ruin the name of Abrams and with his chances of doing Superman and Green Lantern and all that. Abrams has got a lot of crap on him already because he's made some blunders here and there. Certainly his company has. And so, don't really need to do that, Disney. But did they? I don't really. I mean, it's understandable again after what's happened. Some of the crazy decisions made, and the constant having to reshoot everything. The only one that needed to be reshot was Last Jedi, and apparently they didn't do it. And had plenty of time to do so. The movie was actually completed rather on time, I understand, and they could have gone back in and corrected quite a bit, but yeah, just didn't. So Peter Sciretta, he jumps on this. He said, "Yeah, there's a longer cut, and there always is. So yeah, that's probably what there would be." So I'm thinking maybe the scenes with Finn demonstrating certain powers. What was Finn trying to tell Rey? This type of thing, and that could explain that. As far as the Force Ghost scenes and all that, who knows? I don't know. But to say it's all absurd, I don't know. But the idea, again, that they were going to sabotage their own movie just to get at Abrams, that's really too high a bar, even for the craziness of Lucasfilm. I just don't think they would do that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them, certainly at Disney, realized that, well, we pooped the bed on this one. Let's just get it out there and try to move on and hope for the best with Mandalorian, and stuff like that. And put Favreau in charge and whatnot, which is, that's what they need to do. But the idea of that amount of money just to sabotage and say, hey, we can blame it all on JJ and ruin him. And I'm sure to a certain extent there will be blame put on JJ going forward, but to deliberately do that and say, well, he's kind of got an okay little narrative here, but let's cut it to make it look stupid. I know. The only reason they would cut things they didn't like is because it's, it's like Kathleen's agenda, that would be the only thing, because it's just very cult-like, and it doesn't have to make sense. So he gets in a fight with people who argue with the man, which is, of course, pointless. And so he says, the Phantom Menace people tweeting at me, asking me to prove how I know anything. Well, all right. And he talks about my 17 years as a journalist, and some guy on Reddit knows better. Well, yeah, it's a point that he, I guess I don't know much about his background, but that if he has a lot of established articles and whatnot of actually having insiders that turned out to be true, and that sort of thing. And that's the record you would have, is so that he's putting, I'm assuming that that's what he's doing, is putting that up against what this guy, whoever that is claiming. So I just hate to see this nonsense spreading. Well, good Lord. I mean, there's more plenty of that. It's not something to get that worked up about. But anyway, he says, I'm telling you, I know the details and it's not true. A lot of these scenes are made up. Well, okay, but which ones? Some of that sounds credible enough to where it's possible a different scene here and there was shot, that some of the scenes with Kylo was longer. There's not a whole lot to it, that it's like this dramatic difference between what's there and what isn't about some of these scenes. So it's not like it's totally unbelievable. So it's not really detailing what if then what is it? So that's, maybe he did. This is just the Comic Book News article showing snippets of his tweets and all that. But yeah, his main point here, a big studio like Disney would not sabotage their franchise film to make JJ look bad to WB. That's just ridiculous. And even so, to look bad to WB, well, the deal's signed. That might be a little hard to get out of. I'm not sure what the actual language of the contract is, but anyway, it's not unlikely. It's not possible. This is written by someone who has no knowledge about how the industry works. Well, I don't know who the guy is that put this on Reddit, but it's a lot of it sounds a lot like what's been happening all along. Now, look, we've had 2 years of Snyder Cut stuff and constantly being told by people who have all this knowledge of the industry telling us that it doesn't exist, which was absurd to begin with. Of course, there's going to be some sort of cut. And then now 2 years later, boy, yeah, there is a Snyder Cut. So whether or not it gets released, I'm hoping it will be. But so to have gone through things like that, of being lied to, it's understandable why a big deal of this would be, at least gives one pause to consider, well, I guess some of this might be true. So he repeats the claims it made and all this sort of thing. So, yeah, JJ's headed off to WB, possibly to do Superman and Green Lantern for the WB folks. And hopefully he's learned a lot about how to handle cherished properties. I've always thought that maybe he doesn't really deserve completely the blame for what happened to Star Wars, but he's one of the people responsible here to some extent. There's others who are far more guilty, of course. But it's like JJ and Bad Robot there's a lot of damage scattered about. Certainly what happened with Star Trek, and then good Lord, the Star Trek Discovery series, and how bad all that was. So it all leads back to Bad Robot, and that's JJ's baby. So yeah. So is he completely exonerated because, hey, it wasn't him, he was stabbed in the back? Well, only a little. Only a little. So anyway, there you go. Another look at this whole story once again to say, well, okay, but I don't think you can just say the whole ordeal is crap. There's some kernels of truth here, I'm sure. And time will tell. It always does. Look how it told the story of Snyder Cut, huh? So anyway, thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you. And of course, you can find the link to my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos over at BitChute.com. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.